Hello, and welcome to this WIIS introduction to the Enhancing Security Project that provides qualitative and quantitative data examining progress in the integration of women in the police and military forces in 29 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. My name is Karen Johnston, and I'm the Research Director of WIIS, and I'm here with my colleague, Claire Pomerleau, our WIIS Program Assistant, who will talk more about using the data assessment tool developed for this project later. So, how did the Enhancing Security Project begin? In 2020 and again in 2022, the U.S. 7 Command approached WIIS requesting assistance in collecting data and developing a data assessment tool to identify progress in integrating women into the military and police forces in 29 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. The project examined to what extent the Women, Peace and Security agenda, a whole-of-society approach to security and conflict, were integrated into the police and military forces in the region. The WPS agenda was launched with the adoption of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 in 2000. This resolution, along with the subsequent 9 resolutions, collectively formed the WPS agenda. This whole-of-society approach to security and conflict brought renewed attention to the importance of integrating women and a gender perspective for the effectiveness of military and police operations. The objective of the Enhancing Security Project was, first, to establish baseline data and best practices, and secondly, to provide a framework for future partnerships between the 7 Command and its partner nations in the region. The research question we posed was, to what extent have the WPS agenda and the principles of gender equality been integrated into the military and national police forces in the designated countries in Latin America and the Caribbean? We utilized a mixed methodology approach, collecting qualitative and quantitative data for 14 countries in the final summary report, and the remaining 15 countries in 2023, also with a final summary report on those countries. In total, 51 indicators were developed to examine 3 areas. So we wanted to know, first, at the national level, how might governments assess the level of importance, that is, the political will, it places on women's inclusion in security considerations and the security forces. Secondly, at the institutional level, how would governments assess women's meaningful participation through institutional practices and policies in the military and national police forces in each country? And finally, measuring progress. How might each country monitor and evaluate its own progress over time? So our studies showed that in terms of political will, countries have institutions and agreements that reflect a commitment to integrating women into security forces, but that women's representation in military and national police forces remains low. There hasn't been, in addition, consistent transformational changes in policies and practices that can recruit, promote, and retain women in security forces. And finally, many countries still lack monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. What Claire and I are here to discuss is how you can access and study the project's qualitative and quantitative data that is publicly available on our website. First, we've published a qualitative country report and a qualitative data table for each of the 29 countries, plus the 2 summary reports in 2020 and 2023. And secondly, for the quantitative data, we created an interactive dashboard for those 51 indicators, which provide easy access, exploration, and comparison of the data. Importantly, the data assessment tool provides security institutions with information that will help them reach their institutional goals and objectives. Data gathering, as you know, is crucial. Many countries are committed to integrating women into their forces. And evidence-driven studies show women's full, equal, and meaningful participation in all areas of peace and security matters. Women in uniform across the board increase strategic, tactical, and operational effectiveness. And how do they do that? They have access to groups that their male counterparts don't have. they add to situational awareness and help gain local trust. More diversity and inclusion means you get a greater complement of talents, experiences, and insights that lead to better decision-making. And it helps reduce the chances of groupthink and the poor decision outcomes that result. Thus, women in military, police, and defense organizations contribute in countless ways to the success of their institutions and the missions they serve. Thank you. And now I will hand it over to Claire, who will give you a short introduction to the WIIS data assessment tool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire Pomerleau. I'm the program assistant here at WIIS, and today I'm going to show you how to use the data assessment tool. To access this data set and the free, publicly available dashboard that lets you visualize this data, let's visit the WIIS website and find the resource library. In the drop-down menu, select the WIIS data assessment tool or search for it in our website search bar. Once on the page, you'll find the background information on the Enhancing Security project and links to the PDFs for the original country tables and summary reports. Then, you'll fill out your information in the form at the bottom of the page, give a bit more context on what you're using the tool for, and tell us whether you intend to publish or disseminate your findings from this data. Once you've submitted your form, you'll then see the dashboard with a bit more about the tool and a menu at the top of your screen. So for example, if you're only interested in downloading the CSV of all countries and indicators in the study, you can click the Export button and it will take you straight to the section of the dashboard that allows you to export or download the data, where you'll get a CSV that has the data and a codebook. But let's say you want to filter the data and only pick a handful of countries that you're interested in studying for maybe a case study. The next step is to select the years. Remember that half of the countries had data collected in 2020 and the other half in 2023. Because we have selected countries from both years of data collection, I'm going to select both. Next, it's time to select which indicators you're interested in. To begin, I'm going to select all so that I get a comprehensive understanding of the data. Then click on Apply Filters and view the data results. The first visualization is a table where you will see the country name, the year they were studied, and then each column represents one of the indicators measuring the country's implementation of the Women, Peace and Security Agenda and women's participation in security forces. To know what indicator the value corresponds to, just scroll over the value in the table. The value or response to these indicators is one of 6 options. Yes, no, no data, not applicable, source, or null. As you know, sex disaggregated data is not often collected or made publicly available, resulting in the presence of no data or ND values in our dataset. Not applicable, on the other hand, is used when the indicator is not relevant to the country, like asking for the target goals to increase the number of women in the Air Force for a country that doesn't have a national Air Force. If you see a source value, or S, it means to check the original source, the country tables, where you'll find the numerical values, either sums or percentages. Finally, you'll see that each of the 2020 countries have 3 X values. An X represents the null value for the 3 indicators that were not asked in 2020, only in 2023. After referencing the table, let's take a look at the bar graph to really visualize each country's implementation progress and the availability of this data. The yeses are shown in this yellow color so that we can see those countries with long yellow bars have been able to implement more women, peace, and security measures or have more women participating in their security forces. And if you want to know which measures these are, click on the bar and the indicator labels will be listed out for you to scroll through. Next, we've included a map in our dashboard that shows the responses to each selected indicator for the countries you've picked. Finally, at the bottom of the page, you'll find the options to export your data, along with the links to the quantitative country assessment tables, which is again where you'll find the sums and percentages for each S value in this dataset, and the qualitative country summaries and the enhancing security reports. The buttons at the bottom of the screen allow you to export the data and download it as a CSV or JSON file, and you can download the data in PNG and PDF formats if you're looking to save the visualizations. This data will export according to how you filtered it. Now that you understand the Enhancing Security project and how to use and visualize the data yourself, We hope that this tool will be useful for you and your work and research moving forward. If you have any questions on the Enhancing Security project, the data, or the data assessment tool, please don't hesitate to contact the WIIS Global team at info@wisglobal.org. Thank you.